Right, good morning, shiny happy people. It is your boy Sandals. I'm doing this off stream because it's very hot and I'm sort of CBF today, but we're going to check out Memorex's Beauty and the Beast, retold by a Dr. Lady, Dr. Judith K. Jones. It does look awful though. I'm kind of looking forward to see how bad this one is. Let's put it up and have a look, shall we? When you're ready. Okay. Yeah, right in it. Oh, great start. Just this game's so shit it makes you want to smash glasses. Yeah, never heard of Memorex. I did see there are a few games in the XO Win pack, but yeah, they all look pretty awful. I mean, they're making an attempt. There's at least some CG, I suppose, on whatever free, 3D modeling program they had back then. And sorry, I gotta double check on my audio as well. Audio's been weird, like, I haven't got that popping that I used to have, but the audio either goes really soft or really loud, and yeah, I think it's easier to just get a new microphone. Oh, just straight into it. So what do we got? Storybook, movie, puzzle, help. Let's have some help. Play, pause, help, play mode. Tell me more. The rose, click on the rose to close the control panel. Okay. Oh wow, there's actually like keyboard shortcuts and stuff. Yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, two people on animation as well, so that's gonna be fun. No, we don't want to quit. We want to go back to the main menu, if that's all right with you. There we go. All right. Just open up the storybook, I suppose.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a wealthy merchant. This merchant was successful in every business he undertook.
This chick kind of sounds like that Mary Oldhouse chick we've been watching in the the Japanese learning programs we've been watching at the start of the stream.
If he bought spices, everyone acquired a
Oh,
taste
her
for him and purchased all he could provide.
Yeah, she's actually better on the mic than Mary Oldhouse because she does that thing of like pulling in a deep breath before she starts talking.
And a little bit of many, many things. The merchant was a very busy man. Because he was so successful, he worked.
I'm worried. This guy kind of looks like Staff from the Seventh Guest.
And he was very popular, as rich and successful people tend to be.
Maybe I'm just hardwired. Maybe I'm just hardwired to think that all rich, successful people are evil.
He was invited to make speeches, to christen new ships, and to be guest of honor at any number of banquets.
Oh, okay. Yep.
In addition to all his wealth,
oh, okay, hang on. Can we pause so I can... Oh, we can just click on it whenever, yeah.
The eldest daughter
that's nice for the kiddies, telling them what certain words mean.
Of which she was very proud.
Do I have more than others?
Bella was the second daughter, and her hair was red as fire. Belinda
okay, so it's canonical that she had a sister? Okay. Yeah, like I'm literally only going off the Disney Beauty and the Beast, which I kind of have a soft spot for. Had a good mix of everything, and I was always a fan of Angela Lansbury when she was still alive.
If the truth be told, Bella and Belinda were a little selfish, thinking most often about themselves. They were proud of their beauty and wealth, and they considered themselves to be better than others who were less fortunate. The youngest daughter had hair as black and shining as a starry night, and she was the loveliest of the three.
Yep, youngest one's always the hottest.
She was not vain or proud, and perhaps the unselfishness and kindness of her nature added to her beauty. In any case, beauty she was, and so she was called.
Oh,
okay. Life went along splendidly for the merchant and his daughters. Belinda and Bella were engaged to be married to two rich young men. They wore the biggest diamond engagement rings anyone had ever seen, and each planned a wedding which...
If it wasn't so hot, I'd be like tucking myself into bed and just falling asleep to this.
Though many young men had sought after beauty, she found none of them to her liking. She was content to stay at home with her books.
Father, I can't find a good husband. They'll run around and eat 2 dozen eggs every day.
Beauty's sisters thought her mad.
I think that's what it was as well. Like, I remember that with old school Disney movies. Like, the villains were always better than the main characters, in my opinion. Like, I always liked Gaston a hell of a lot more than Beast.
some founded on
Same
rocks
with
and sank,
Tarzan
and
as well.
some
Like,
disappeared
I
in a
mean, like
great storm.
Brian Blessed, he
None of
was
the
he
shimmering
made a great
silks,
villain.
the
Always
rare
makes a great
delicious
villain.
spices, or the beautiful carpets came to harbor. His shops and warehouses were empty of
I have
goods,
been
for
watching
he had
through
nothing to sell.
I had an
People
old
rushed
TV
to take
show
money
from
out
the
of his
UK in the
bank
the
for
mid
fear that they would
2000s called
lose their
Dead Ringers,
savings.
where they
Suddenly, all the good
satirize
friends who had
you know,
wanted their
famous people,
goodbyes
like
and promised
impersonate them.
eternal friendship
And
discovered that they
yeah, it
had
was sort of
never
a mix of
realized or
sketch
trusted
comedy
the
and like a
merchant
hidden
after
camera
all.
prank show. Like they'd dress up
They
as the
turned their
characters
backs on his need
and go out in the
sent
street
him
and
for a
do fun
field.
stuff. I know
The rich young men
so the
wrote
main
polite
guy in it,
notes to
John
Bella and
Colshaw's gone on
Belinda,
to do.
saying they
I think he
had been
narrated.
mistaken in their feelings
Yeah, he did the
and
voiceovers
asking
in
for their
Horrible
rings
Histories,
back.
but he was
The
definitely the
merchant
best
had
because he
to
did
sell
like
his splendid
Russell
houses,
Crowe, but also
horses,
Russell
furniture,
Crowe
and
as
books,
Maximus
and the
Decimus
daughters
Meridius
reluctantly had
from
to part with
Gladiator.
all their jewels and
Ozzy
furs.
Osbourne. I did what
Only
there was a good
Beauty
Ozzy
did not
Osbourne skit where
complain.
he's like serving people
At
in a
least, she
pharmacy,
did
and
not complain aloud, because she did not
Elvis
wish to
Costello
hurt her
rocks
father's
up
feelings
for
or
some
add to his
reason, and
worries.
he's pretending like he knows
Taking
him.
his daughters,
He's like,
the
I'd
merchant
love
left
to
the
do a
city and
collab
all
with
his
you at
false
some point,
friends,
and
and went to
Elvis
live in a
Costello's like,
small
yeah,
cottage in the
just give me my
forest,
prescription,
the
mate.
one property he had left. When they arrived
And sorry
at
to
the
talk
cottage,
over this,
Belinda
but
and Bella
you
were
guys have
horrified
seen the
and
movie.
cried
You
aloud
know
at
what the story
sight
is
so
of
humble
Beauty and the
growing.
Beast.
We
Can we
can't
actually
possibly
like?
live here, cried
I
Belinda.
have a
It's
feeling
much
we're
too
not going
small
to
and
get any.
cramped.
I'm just letting the story
And
play
so old and
because
run
we're probably
down,
not going to
cried
get
Bella.
interactive hotspots or
Papa, you
anything
can't
we
leave and make
expect
us live
from these sort of
here.
games.
The poor merchant tried to reassure his daughters that the house, though small, was snug and warm, and would shelter them through the winter.
Yeah.
Beauty, hugging Cuthbert's
A small
firm
house is
warmth to
definitely
her,
easier to
looked
insulate.
thoughtfully at the garden. It was not large, and it had been neglected since the last tenant had left, but it was full of flowers of all kinds and colors. All, that is, except for roses. She looked hopefully among all the sweet-smelling flowers growing in the garden,
Oh,
but not a single rose was to be found. Although Beauty was as unused to hard work as the other daughters,
What is
she
with
resolutely
this?
took up an
And
apron
yeah,
and
like
worked.
I saw the
Her
little blurb
sisters
on the
were
back of
even
the
more
box art
horrified
that
at
said
doing the work that
the
servants had
artwork's
once done
supposed to
for
be
them.
kind of inspired
But there
by
was no help
the
for
ones
it.
you get in the 18th
All the
century,
sweeping
like
and washing and
illustrated
cooking had to be
kids books
done,
from
and
then.
there
But
was no one else to
yeah,
do
it's
it.
just it's low
The
quality,
merchant
that's
was
for
sick
sure.
at heart to see his daughters working so hard, but he was proud of Beauty, for though she worked the hardest, she did not complain.
Yeah, that's
She sang
perfect
as she
wife
worked,
material right
with
there.
Cuthbert padding along at her heels and lying on her feet at night as she sat by the fire mending. The older daughters were jealous and resentful of
Even the
Beauty and her
narrator's
good
bored
nature,
of this shit
feeling
already.
that their father loved her best.
I don't
To
know
be
what
fair,
her
the merchant tried to make
profession
no
is to be
difference
considered
between
a
his
doctor,
children and
but
to treat them
this
all
is
equally.
obviously beneath her.
But Beauty was generous and gentle, and never made him feel as if he had failed her. If she sighed
Yeah,
for
hang
the
on, let me
past life
check.
of ease and
Because I've got a
pleasure,
feeling if I click on this mouse hole, it's gonna... Yep, no hotspots in the pictures whatsoever. Okay, just checking.
she did it only at night.
I was hoping
under
like
the
a mouse
leaves.
had come out of that hole and have a
Meanwhile,
dance or
the
something.
merchant made the rounds of other small huts and cottages scattered throughout the countryside.
Because yeah, I have
He
noticed
cut out
that
the small
based on
trinkets and odds
what
and
I've already
ends he
played,
had
we
been able
are
to
kind of
save from his
scraping
store's
the bottom
goods,
of the barrel
and
for
in this way he made a small
quality
but
Windows
honest
3.1
living.
content.
One day, news came to the little cottage.
We've still got a
from
few
the
left.
forest.
I actually
A
have
single
some
ship belonging to
humongous
the
games
merchant
left.
had come safely
I never
to
played
harbor,
any of
and
the
he
Backyard
hastened to make
series.
ready for the journey
That
back
did
to
look
the
pretty
city
fun.
to reclaim his property. Bella and Belinda danced for joy, thinking that the difficult times were over. His daughters helped him pack, and Belinda and Bella had many requests for jewels and dresses.
Of course
They
they did.
asked for so many things that the merchant would have needed a fleet of ships to provide all they needed, or thought they did. Only Beauty asked for nothing. Finally, the merchant asked if there was nothing she wanted. "Only your safe return," she replied. Now Belinda
Yeah, and
Bella,
that's
who
like
knew they
that's
had been
suck up
greedy and
behavior. At
selfish,
least
were
ask for
angry at
something.
Beauty for putting them in such a poor life.
Everyone needs
Like most
something. Like
people,
yeah.
they did not enjoy facing their own faults.
And especially, like, you know,
The merchant
Amazon
insisted
doesn't
that Beauty
exist.
name
No
at
such
least
thing as
one
next
gift
day
for him to
delivery.
bring back to her.
You'd be lucky to
She
get, like,
cast about
next
in her
month
mind
delivery.
for something which would cost him nothing, and finally hit upon the very thing.
Oh,
A
okay, she
rose,
wants a
she
rose.
said.
You're right.
Bring me a rose, for though I have tried and tried, I cannot get roses to grow in this garden, and you know how much I have always loved them." This modest request only added to Bella and Belinda's jealousy, for they could not believe that Beauty would really be
I resent
satisfied
this
with such a
rose.
small gift. The merchant set out, sped on his way by his
Okay,
daughter,
so that's why
with
there's
high
no
hopes for
hotspots
a
or
more
anything. There is
comfortable
some
future.
animations in the actual
His hopes were
picture
not to
that
be
comes up.
realized, however. When he
What
reached
is
the
with
city,
this
he
art
found
style
that his
though?
former
They kind of
partners,
look like
pretending to have believed him dead, had claimed and divided
nearly
all the
like
treasures
Yellow
from his
Submarine
ship.
characters. Is
He went to
this a
court to regain his
reimagination
property, and
of the
after a
Beatles in
long,
Yellow
hard struggle,
Submarine?
he won his case. The cost of the suit was so high, however, that the only ones who could be said to have gained anything much out of the case
Hang
were
on,
the lawyers,
can I
who were
go
very
back a
satisfied
page?
indeed with their.
Oh no, hang on. Oh no, that's the auto turning. Okay, no, that's all right. I was going to try and do a terrible impression of
their fees.
the not Beatles.
So the merchant turned toward his home in the forest with only a little more than he had when he began his journey. He had managed a small trinket each for Belinda and Bella, but the season for roses was long past.
Yeah, it definitely
so he had
pays
no
to
gift
tell the
for
kids
Beauty.
what figures mean.
He
You
had
got to
been
teach
forced to
the
stay
kids
in the
about
city
money
for
early,
so long that summer had
because
faded,
they just assume
and
it's
autumn
infinite.
was also
I
passing
definitely did
away.
when I was a
"And
kid.
there lies winter, dead ahead," he muttered as he gazed uneasily at the great dark clouds gathering above him. Sure enough, before long the first fine flakes of snow began to fall. At first slowly, then faster and faster, until all the world was one swirling veil of white. His poor horse could not see the trail, and the merchant was so cold he could no longer feel his feet. Seeing a hollow tree, he and the horse crowded in as close as possible. In this way they passed the night together in some warmth, if not in comfort. The next morning came, and though it was no longer snowing, it was still very cold. The weary merchant, hungry and tired, prayed that he would find a hut or cottage soon, and someone to share with him a little food and warmth. Then, among the trees heavy with their burden of snow, he saw a wide, smooth
Yeah,
path
all right. Now the art
bordered
style's
with
reminded.
orange
Yeah,
trees.
it's like they're
Now the
transitioning
merchant
from
knew, even with his
Manchester,
half-frozen
like at the
brains,
start,
that
and then
orange
going
trees in
into
the dead of winter ought not to be
Pepperland.
covered with oranges. Still less should they have fragrant orange blossom sending its perfume
Ringo,
out
we're in a
into the
yellow
still
submarine,
frozen
but keep
woods.
seeing trees everywhere.
Wondering,
Don't know what's
he led
going
his
on.
horse up the drive, expecting any moment to see a great house or palace. And sure enough, as he turned a wide bend in the drive, he saw just ahead such a great house as he had been imagining.
No, you want another
Larger
take
and
on
more
that? Director's
imposing
just
than
like, no,
any he had
sorry,
ever
we
seen
don't have
before.
time, we gotta fight this out.
Surely, he thought, these rich people will have a little bread to spare and a warm place to rest for me. He went first to the
I
stables,
will give
and
this
finding
game
a
that, though,
stall
the
filled with clean straw
audio
and the
seems
manger
to
full
be
of grain,
reasonably
he rubbed his horse down,
uncompressed, like I
covered him
can hear the
comfortably with
hissing
warm rug which lay at
of the
hand,
microphone, but it's
leaving
not
his
as...
faithful friend
Yeah,
contentedly
someone's
munching
got their
his
mic levels
long-awaited
right,
breakfast.
so that's
The
good.
merchant went out to the courtyard and up the great
Contentedly
staircase
munching.
to the doors. As he approached, he saw that the doors stood open, and he went in, amazed that anyone with such a valuable property would leave the front door unlocked. He
Yeah, I've
was
got a
struck
funny
by
feeling the original
absolute
story doesn't have
silence
the,
inside,
sentient,
and as he timidly went from room
like,
to room,
household
he
objects as
saw and
servants in
heard
this one.
no sign of any
Geez, that's
living
something I
being
haven't played for a while.
except himself.
I remember my sister having
If the
it. My
rooms
sister
had been
had,
even a little dark,
I think it was
even a
Beauty and the
little
Beast
gloomy
Be Our
or
Guest
mysterious,
on
he
DOS.
probably would have been so
And like,
terrified
yeah,
by the silent
I love that
emptiness
game.
that he would have
Even
run away
I had a soft spot
cold
for it
or
because
no
it was, pretty good
But
quality
each
for
room
the
was
time.
lighted by crystal lamps, each furnished with beautiful furniture, polished and shining, each warmed by
Yeah,
rich
that
curtains
was
and thick
surprising. The
carpets.
fact that
Everywhere he
we've
looked,
kind
he
of
saw
seen it on
lovely
stream, haven't
things,
we? Like there
paintings
have
and
been
books and ornaments
actually
of every
good
description.
licensed
Everything
Disney
anyone
games that have
might
come
be able
out
to
over the last couple of
imagine
years,
for a
in
luxurious
that
life
sort of
of
90s
ease and
phase.
pleasure. When he came to a small room with a deep chair drawn up before the fire which burned cheerfully in the fireplace, he had no hesitation in sitting down and putting his tired feet up. Before he had time to draw more than one deep breath, he was sound asleep, comfortable and warm for the first time in what seemed like years. When he awoke, the merchant found a table near at hand, set with fine
Yeah,
crystal and china,
okay.
and
It's
laden
not
with
really.
every delicious
Oh, there's
food he
actually
could
2 dozen
remember
eggs
having
there.
tasted in his life.
Maybe Gaston's taken
Feeling as
over.
if
Oh
he
no,
had
that's a
not
little
eaten
better.
for
They
weeks,
got a
the
roast at
merchant
least.
tucked a napkin around his neck and set about cleaning up the table before him. In an astonishingly short time,
There's
he
one
had very
Carmen
nearly
Miranda hidden
accomplished
in
his
this picture. Can
self-appointed
you find her?
task. With a sigh of contentment, he leaned back and closed his eyes. If only his daughters could enjoy a visit to this wonderful palace.
No,
How they would laugh
don't
and
tell the
run from
daughters.
room
The
to
daughters
room,
will just want more
exclaiming
after
over the
this point.
treasures. How Beauty would cry aloud in delight at the sight of all the books, rooms of them,
Oh, that was
waiting to be
canonical.
read.
She was into books and shit.
Rested
Yeah.
and
Okay.
refreshed, he rose and resumed his search, determined to find the owners of all this magnificence
Ding.
and thank them. After hours of looking, however, the merchant had discovered only aching feet and a mind spinning with all the wonders he had seen. Nowhere in the great palace, nor in the beautiful gardens
Yeah,
where summer
this is
lingered
actually.
still,
I'm
was
gonna
there
assume
any
this is the
sign
full
of
story
host,
because we're like
servant, or
27
guest.
pages into this.
He was absolutely alone. Night fell, and the merchant went to a bedchamber which had a fire in the grate, a nightshirt laid out on the big bed, and a variety of
Because I'd be
cakes,
sick of
juices,
food at
and
that
wines
point.
set
Yeah,
out
put
for
on a
his
big spread,
enjoyment.
but you know,
With a final sigh of absolute contentment, the
I,
merchant
I've
sank
sort of
into
learned that the
repose
hard way,
and
like
fell
not to eat
asleep.
before bed, even
The
if I kind
following
of feel like it.
morning, after a sustaining breakfast, the merchant dressed in the fine clothes laid out for him and went to the stables to fetch his horse. It was time to return home. As he saddled his horse,
I haven't got a
the
new
old
saddle
saddle had
too.
disappeared
Yeah,
and
righto.
had been replaced by a beautiful new one. He thought about the great palace and its magical hospitality. Finally, he decided that it could not just be chance that had led him to the wonderful place. The generous care he had received meant just one thing. The palace and all it contained was meant for him, waiting for him to come and take up his place there.
Yep, no legal
In a
right to it, but
burst
it's
of
just like,
joy,
yeah,
he
this
led
is
his
all
horse
mine. This is
out
me
to
now.
the wide drive,
I live here
ready
now.
to fetch his daughters to their new home. The sight of roses stopped him. There were thousands of them, the most beautiful red roses he had ever seen, blooming all around the courtyard and gardens. "I can take Beauty her gift after all," he exclaimed, and leaning down he plucked the nearest of the huge, fragrant roses. In an instant it seemed as if the sky had darkened, and his ears were filled with a terrible roaring.
Ooh, getting all spooky
Spinning
now.
around, he beheld
Ah!
a huge beast wrapped in a great
Certainly
black
is
cloak,
a beast.
whose eyes
Okay.
gleamed as red as blood. The beast roared again.
I haven't
pointing a
actually
terrible
seen that
claw at
one
the
either. I've
rose
heard
which had
about it.
fallen
The
from the merchant's nerveless
apparently there
hand.
was I believe it was like a
Thief!
TV miniseries
Is
of
it
Beauty and
not
the
enough
Beast,
that
and
I have provided
it was
for your every need,
Ron Perlman
your
as the
every
Beast.
comfort? This
And-
is how you repay
and they put
my
makeup on him, but it's
hospitality,
like
by
you don't need
stealing
makeup
from
for
me
Ron
my
Perlman.
roses. The poor merchant was terrified, almost to the point of heart failure, but he forced
Yep.
himself to stand upright.
Failure,
and
not
answer the
achieving
beast.
goal. Yeah, you
Good
teach kids
sir,
early about
he
failure as well.
stammered. "I am most truly sorry if I have offended you. I was so overwhelmed by the great generosity you have shown me. I did not imagine that you would mind if I took just one rose home to my daughter Beauty." "The penalty for stealing is death." The merchant fell to his knees.
Doesn't
then,
sound
and
like
pleaded with the
a beast, Dr. Lady.
"Good
You want
sir,
to try that
please
again?
spare my life. I am the sole support of my 3 daughters, and if you kill me, they will surely starve." "You have 3 daughters, yet you took only 1 rose." The merchant dared to rise from his knees and looked up at the beast.
Yeah, and I sort
He
of
found
don't get
himself telling the horrible
like
creature all
what's
about his
going
losses
on with
and
the
his
art
daughters
style here.
living
Like,
now in such a
why are
poor
the
way in
drawn
Florence.
lines here thin and the other one's
He
thick?
told him
Yeah.
about the ship and his daughter's
Doesn't really make
requests
sense.
for presents. And the
Oh, they
youngest,
worked that out at
Beauty,
least,
would
yeah, putting
only
like little
ask
white
for a
bits
rose,
in the black
for
hair
it
to
was
sort of
midsummer
outline
when
the
I
shape
left,
of it. That's
and who was
that's
to
art
know it
101.
would be so hard to find
So
such a
can't draw
simple
fucking
gift.
hands for shit though. Holy crap!
The beast appeared to think for a time, his great hairy paw
Let
rubbing
me
his
let me
jaw.
nibble on my sausage
"Very
fingers
well,
as a snack.
I will spare your life on one condition. Go home and ask if any one of your daughters will come here in your stead. If one agrees, bring her back to me, and she shall pay the price for you." The merchant was aghast. "I could never allow one of my children to
Oh,
die
surely
for
you can
me," he
send him
cried.
one. Like if she's gonna get knocked
"Then I
off,
will
like
kill
just
you
send one of the
now,
shit
and
ones.
they will all starve. Go home and ask your daughters. If not one of them will come, then you may return yourself. And do not think that you can hide from me. If you do not come back, I shall come and get you, and it will be worse than
Yeah,
anything
because I
you
remember
can
seeing
imagine."
that. We still haven't played any of them
Then the
yet,
beast
but
picked up the fallen
we've
rose
got the
and
King's
handed it
Quest
to the
games
merchant.
there, and I know King's
"Don't
Quest 6
forget your rose,"
has like a
he
Beauty
said
and the
in a
Beast
soft,
kind of
cold
like
voice,
quest in
infinitely
there
more
somewhere. But
terrifying than a loud
what's
roar.
interesting is the guy who
The poor man
voices
flung himself
the
on
main
his
guy
horse
in
and
King's
rode
Quest
down the
6,
drive
Alexander,
as if the
was
devil was after
the
him,
legit voice
which is
of
exactly
the
what he
Beast
did
in
think.
the Disney movie.
In no time at
Robbie
all, the
Benson,
merchant
his name
found
is, if you
himself
want to
on
look
a
him up.
hillside overlooking his little house, and with a heavy heart he rode down the path
I
to
think
his
he was
door.
married
His
to
daughters
like
all
another
came
voice actress
dancing
as
out to
well,
meet him.
maybe.
Bella and Belinda demanded his presence, and Beauty clung to his stirrup, asking
Yeah,
if
yeah,
all
because
was
there was
well
a
with him.
I think the chick who
"Alas, my
played
daughters,"
Ariel
he
in
cried, "all is
Little
very
Mermaid.
ill indeed."
Looking that up
He
now.
took out the presents he had brought. A
Yeah,
little
I know
gold
you're all
bracelet for
lazy. I'm
Bella
just
and a gold
yeah,
locket for Belinda.
I'll look it up for you.
Bella and Belinda let it be seen that they were very disappointed with them, but they took them just the
Benson.
same. "And here is your rose, Beauty."
Oh, that's
he
right.
said
I think he was a
sadly,
voice
"though
director
you never
later on.
imagined what a sorrow you would bring when you ask for it." He then told his daughters about the beast and his demand. Bella and Belinda were loud in their protests, crying out at Beauty and blaming her for their misfortune. "It's all your fault," cried Bella, stamping her foot. "If you had asked for an ordinary present, none of this
Oh,
would
okay.
have happened."
Not who I was thinking of.
Belinda snatched the rose from Beauty's
Married to someone
hand
called
and crushed
Carla
it under her
DeVito.
foot. "This is what comes from always pretending to be better than others," she cried.
Oh, okay. She's
Poor
done a bit
Beauty
of stuff
gazed
as
at her
well.
father, tears in her eyes.
Written a few
"Dear
movies.
father," she
Oh,
said
I
gently,
think she
"of
did
course I
some
will go to the
songs
Beast's
in the
palace
80s
in your
too.
place." The merchant cried out at that, shaking his head. "Never, never, my daughter," he said. "I have only come back to say goodbye
Yeah,
to you
apparently
and
there's a
leave you
song
these few
in
things I managed to
Breakfast
save
Club
from the
called We Are
ship.
Not Alone.
If
He
you are
wrote and
careful, the
performed.
money they will bring will keep you."
Yeah, okay.
Belinda and Bella then began to think how they might be rid of Beauty and keep their father at home to provide for them. They were really very selfish girls and thought of nobody
You
but
really have
themselves.
to point out that
"I think Beauty should
daughter,
go," said Bella. "It's
they're
only
just shit,
fair.
aren't they?
She
Yeah.
asked for the rose, so she should pay the price for it, instead of you going away and leaving us all to starve." "Yes," said Belinda, "it's true. You cannot abandon your responsibilities to us." In this way, over and over, all night long, the sisters wore the poor merchant down.
I think this
Finally,
might
he
actually
looked at
be
Beauty.
a video as
"Do
well.
you
Like,
really
you
want
guys
to
probably
do
can't
this
see it on
terrible
YouTube, but I
thing?"
can see some, like,
"Father," she
pixels,
replied,
like,
"I should
flickering
never know
here.
another happy day if I let you go to your death. And who knows,
Which is
perhaps the
weird.
beast is
You'd think
only
you'd have it
testing
as,
you,
like,
and if we
a
go back,
static
he will
image or
pardon
something.
you."
Yeah, maybe
And
it's
so the
even,
merchant
like,
was at last
one...
persuaded. Perhaps he saw that
yeah, I
life
don't
with
know. Maybe
Bella
it's
and
an
Belinda
FMV
would
that's,
not
like,
be a great
looped
deal
or
better
something.
for Beauty than her fate at the beast's
Yeah,
hands,
not sure
or
what's
paws
going
in
on
this
under
case.
the hood here.
After she had said her farewells to her sisters and a last
Oh,
sorrowful pat
yeah,
to
don't leave the
Cuthbert, who
poor
mewed
cat
piteously,
behind. Look,
the
he wants to
merchant
go
took
with you.
Beauty up behind him
He's
on
like,
his horse.
eh.
Cuthbert tried to
The,
run after them,
the other two are just
but
gonna,
the
like,
merchant resolutely turned
lock me
away
outside.
and started out again for the beast's palace. It seemed as if they had no sooner ridden in among the trees than the horse's hoofs turned down the orange blossom drive and the palace came into view. Beauty gasped at the size
Yeah, I'm
and
surprised at
splendor
that
of
too.
the
I've been
palace,
seeing
and was too
Jeffrey in the
amazed to
house a
be
little bit more
frightened.
often than usual.
All happened as it had before. The
I think,
merchant
yeah,
and
it
his
is.
youngest daughter entered the
He's
palace and
weird.
went
He
through
loves
room after room
sitting out
until they
in
came
the
to
heat,
the
even though
small,
I've got the
comfortable
cooler on
apartment with the
inside.
fire and the table laden with delicious foods.
I guess he'd be used to it. Yeah,
"Come,"
like
Beauty
I've
said,
mentioned
"this
with
is
Jeffrey, he
hopeful.
was a
The
stray
beast
starting
cannot
out.
mean to kill me if he is showing such
He's
hospitality."
used to it, I guess.
The merchant agreed, keeping his gloomy reflections on being fattened up for the kill to himself. They sat down and made a good meal, enjoying the food and the warmth in spite of their fears.
Oh, yep.
Then there was
Still
that
can't throw
same
hands.
terrible
Look at
roaring
that
sound,
hand.
and the beast was before them.
What's
At the
he
sight
trying to
of him,
do?
so huge and menacing,
That's the
his
same way I
great
put my
black
hand when I'm
cloak
like
billowing around around him.
know
and
when
his
you're in the
eyes
bath and you
gleaming.
can kind of like
Beauty came
squeeze the
near to
water
fainting.
through your hands,
With desperate
like squirt
courage,
other
she
people
faced
with
the
it.
beast with her father.
That's
So,
how I do
one of your
my hands.
daughters did agree to come in your stead. I am surprised. You are certain you did not compel her? This is my youngest daughter, Beauty, said the
Whatever's
merchant.
going on here is a
I
bit,
brought
yeah.
her because she insisted. Well, well, so you have courage as well as beauty. Beauty lifted her chin a little and answered with grave courtesy.
That's not
You
how
were
you'd
good
be
to my
courteous.
father and
If you
helped
put your
him in
chin
his
up,
need.
you come
Through
across
my
as
fault
arrogant.
he offended you.
Okay.
It is only right that I should pay the debt you now demand. Well, indeed. Then he turned to the merchant. You may remain with your daughter for the night.
Laugh at that. Yeah, the non-canonical thing is, the merchant's like, what do you want me to bring back for you? And she's like, I want a beast dragon dildo. Let me get you the next best thing.
The beast left them, and Beauty and her father went into the room he had indicated. There were the trunks, as he had said, and piled all around on shelves
hell yeah,
and in
treasure.
cabinets and coffers were every variety
Yeah,
of treasure.
I'd hook up with the beast for a bit
Beautiful
of that.
gowns and jewels lay everywhere, and piles of gold and silver, lengths of silk and cloth of gold, feathers and fans and linen and lace.
Oh
more
yeah,
than
if
even the
you
great
missed the
two
stream
chests could
yesterday,
possibly
I've
hold.
gotten to work again, so that makes me happy. Lets me sort out my plans.
As they packed, Beauty tried to be cheerful. How pleased
I should
Bella
do
and
that as a
Belinda will be to
celebratory
see
thing.
all
I get
this.
paid Tuesday.
And I will be glad
I
to
might
know
go
that
and
you
buy
are
myself
all
2
well
dozen
provided
eggs. Not to eat in one day like
I
guests
would
on.
give it all if I could just
But
take
yeah,
them home again
I've
tomorrow,
really missed
said
eggs.
the merchant sadly.
Love my
I
poached eggs
should
for
never
Ricky.
have agreed. So Beauty set about comforting him.
You
pointing out
were
that
also
he did
having
not
the
really have
conversation
any
about
choice.
people who like
Really, it is better that the three of you will
either
prosper, she
poach or
pointed
boil
out, than
eggs
that we should
in
all
the
starve.
microwave,
And who knows, I
and
may
that
do
it's
very
a
well
disgusting
here.
habit.
I cannot believe he means to kill
It's
me.
to me, it's up
The
there with
merchant
people
wished
who
he
like
hadn't
microwave
said,
their
But
coffee.
he said nothing, and they finished their packing. Miraculously, all the goods went into the chests. Though how we shall carry them, I cannot imagine.
Yeah,
said
I
Beauty.
still don't
Beast
understand the
arranges
concept
everything,
either. Like, yeah, I
merchant
mentioned that
sadly.
myself. Like the fact that, yeah, you're
No
sacrificing
sooner
a
had
couple
the
extra
last piece
minutes
of
of
gold
time,
gone into the chests than
not
the sun
boiling
came
your
up,
water
and it was
to
time for the merchant to
poach or
leave.
boil an egg or
Beauty
something,
went to
but
the
you're
stable with her
getting
father, and there they found the
significantly better
merchant's horse
taste for
saddled
it.
and
Like,
waiting.
yeah, I
There
don't
were
understand
also
that.
2
My
new
my
horses,
dad
each
used to do
bearing
it
one of the
actually.
great
Like, he'd
chests
actually
they had
poach
filled.
eggs
Bidding his
in the
daughter a sad
microwave in a
farewell,
glass
the merchant rode out
and
of the
just like
courtyard,
pierce the
his
yolk
eyes
so it doesn't
filled with
explode
bitter
everywhere.
tears.
I'm just like,
With
nah,
lagging steps, Beauty turned and walked back to the palace
not
stairs,
hard to poach an egg,
where she
guy.
stood
No,
watching
yeah,
until her father
not
was
hard
out
to
of
poach
sight.
eggs at all.
Then she went into the palace. As her father had done before her, she wandered from room to room examining the treasures of the palace, but her heart was heavy, for she did not know if this night was to be her last. She came
Oh,
upon a
okay, so they
bedchamber
haven't
which
got.
had
She
clearly
is
been made
apparently
ready
meant to
for her.
die in her
Her little bundle of possessions
dad's
had
dead.
been laid on
Okay.
a chest at the foot of the bed. Overcome with fear and grief, she threw herself on the
Yeah,
soft
that
bed
almost
and
might
wept
even
until
be
she
the
fell asleep.
art style. No,
It
that
late
was
in
more
the evening
watercolors,
when
wasn't
she
it?
awoke to find the crystal lamps alight.
Yeah,
and the
I
bed
was
warm
thinking
front
of like
bar
Alan
waiting
Moore's
for
Lost
her.
Girls for a
One
second,
certainly
and
cannot complain about the service, she exclaimed,
you know,
overcome
all
with
the
longing
weird
for a
sexual
long,
stuff
hard
aside,
bath.
the
After soaking
artwork
away
in
the
that
last of her
is pretty
tidiness,
nice.
Beauty wrapped herself in the sumptuous velvet robe which lay waiting for her and looked curiously around the room. She discovered the closet and chests were full of the most beautiful clothes
And
imaginable.
look
in
at
all
the look at the
colors,
contrast
most
compared to
plain
like the
adorned
line
gold.
art and whatever this
The
abomination is.
dressing table held several
This is over
large jewel
9,000
boxes
hours
filled to
in
the
MS
brim,
Paint.
with necklaces, bracelets,
Oh, they
rings,
might
and
have
earrings,
had to
set
step
with
up
every
though.
jewel under the
They
sun.
might have done it. It looks like they put
Diamonds
like a
and
blur or
rubies and
smudge tool
sapphires, emeralds and
or all over
topazes
this
and amethysts,
before they
pearls and opals
put it
and
through.
aquamarine, and many others she did not recognize. One lovely golden bracelet spelled out beauty.
Why
in
does he
rubies,
have
and the
this?
sight of it
It's-
lifted her heart. Not because it was beautiful, though the workmanship
It's
was
making me think
excellent,
of that
but
meme, like
because
where
surely the
people would
beast
get
would not provide her with a room
stuff
full of
tattooed
clothes
on
and
their
jewels
wrist,
if he meant to kill
and
her.
it'd be like,
So
yeah,
it was in
it's
a
so
reasonably
you can
courageous state of
remember
mind
the
that Beauty
things
dressed
important to
herself
you,
in
and they
brown
put
and
like
white
one of their
lace
kids'
embroidered
names on
all
it,
over
and
with
someone made
tiny
fun of it
rubies,
by
and the
just
bracelet
getting a
bearing her
texture
name,
and drawing chicken
and went to
nuggets
look
on their
for the
wrist.
dining room. She found it with no trouble, for her steps brought her almost immediately to a small dining room with a place set for one. One look at the display of dishes reminded her that she was very
Yeah, I'm
hungry,
disappointed
for
they
she
didn't
had
go
not
with the
eaten
whole,
since the night before.
sentient household
No
objects
sooner
as the
had she
servants
finished her
like the
dinner
movie,
than she
because,
heard the
yeah,
roaring
this
sound
would
of
turn
pain
into a
with the
shapely
beast.
woman once the
There he
curse was
was,
lifted.
his
That
bulk seeming
wouldn't
to
I?
darken the
Get that
lamps as
heavy.
he loomed over her. Good evening, Beauty. May I join you? Please do, Beast. Will you not eat something? She asked, her voice shaking only a little at the mention of
And no,
eating.
it's funny, I was
At
thinking
that,
about
the
that
beast
earlier,
seemed to
because,
smile a little, if such a fearsome mouthful
for
of
some reason I
sharp
was thinking
teeth
of,
could be
like,
said to
Noah
smile.
Hawley, the guy who did,
Thank you, I have
the
done.
Fargo TV
You are
series, and
comfortable? There is something you wish
he
for?
did another
You have
series
only to
called
speak it
Legion, which
aloud,
was
and it shall
like,
be provided
I think it was
instantly.
meant to be based off X-Men
She
or
shook her
something,
head.
but it was sort
I
of
can
in his
imagine nothing
arty-farty
that you have
style,
not
and the main
already
guy in
given
that
me. He
was
said as
the main
softly
guy
as
who played
possible
Beast
for
in
a
the
beast.
live-action version
I
of
desire only to
Beauty and the
please
Beast.
you. Tomorrow you will find much to amuse you.
Yeah, I
He
certainly
stayed
go
by
down
her
an
for an
autism
hour,
rabbit hole when
asking
it comes to
about her
that.
life and listening to
I
her
was
stories
terrible
with
for
every
Onimusha as
appearance
well.
of
I ended up
amusement.
watching a
When the hour was
retrospective
over, he stood up
and
and
heard some
bowed.
interesting little
Good
factoids,
night,
like
Beauty. Do
the
not
guy
be
who
afraid
did
of
the
anything you may hear in
CG
the night.
cutscenes for
Nothing will harm you
Onimusha
so long as you do not
ended
leave
up
the
directing
palace.
Godzilla Minus
That you
One.
must
I
never
just
dare
found
to
that to
do
be
after
mind-blowing.
dark. Good night, Beast, she responded. With that, he left her alone, and so Beauty took up her life in the Beast's palace. The next day she explored her new home. Discovering the book, she immediately sank down in a comfortable chair and abandoned herself to the bliss of reading.
Forget about that. You
When
gotta
she
get
grew
killed
tired
at
of
some
that,
point.
she found
Just
a
have a
piano
read.
with a large supply
Fine.
of music, and so she whiled away the afternoon playing and singing, a pastime she had missed since coming to the humble forest cottage.
I can.
A walk in the
I
garden
don't know if you
showed
heard
her
it in the
flowers
background, but
beyond
yeah,
a
someone was
fountain,
trying to churn
and a
out
lovely little lake where goldfish
that
clustered
really
at the
easy
edge.
Beethoven song
Wishing
on the
for
piano.
bread, she found a basket at her feet, and she laughed at the fish's greediness as she dropped breadcrumbs into the water. This became the pattern of her days. Meals appeared when she was hungry. There was a charming mare in the stables which came when she called, and though she
Okay,
could ride
also,
along
how
a
does that
variety of
work? Yeah,
trails in the
they
park,
lay out
the mare would
food
not
when you're
go outside
hungry,
the invisible
do
boundary
your bed
which
when
separated the
you're
beast's
sleepy.
domain
What
from
happens
the
if you need to
forest
shit?
beyond. One
Does
afternoon she was
does
feeling
a chamber
especially
pot just
lonely.
magically
She
appear?
thought about her cat,
Oh, is it?
and a
Yeah,
terrible
it's
longing
probably
came
for
over
the
her.
best they didn't go with
Cuthbert,
the
she murmured, if only
magic
I had you with me, I should not feel
the
so
sentient
alone.
chamber pot,
In
because
an instant,
yeah,
she felt a
that's
warm
a
current
rough
at her
life to
feet,
live,
and there she discovered a gray cat looking up with big green eyes.
especially
"Oh,
with the beast,
darling
considering his
Cuthbert,"
size,
she cried, picking him up
'cause
and
he
caressing
he
his
did
soft
some
fur.
massive shits.
I never thought to see you again. She cried a few happy tears, which dripped onto his head, but Cuthbert
Oh,
did not
Kitty came
complain.
back.
He had been having a thin time of it with Belinda and Bella. He had no idea of what had
Ah,
happened,
that's a
but
nice
he
kitty
did know
picture.
that he would be much better off with Beauty to feed him and pet him and let him sleep on her feet. After that, Beauty's days
Yeah,
were
they
happy.
seem very often.
She
I
felt
do.
much less lonely.
Well, I
with
like a lot of
Cuthbert
cats.
following her
I
around,
seem to have
and
like
was
I
only
might even do
separated
that
from
one
her
day. Do a
during
tier
dinner
list
when
of
she
like
talked with the Beast.
my
At
favorite
these
colors.
times, Cuthbert was firmly shut
I'm
into her
biased though
room.
because I've had two
She had
tabbies, so
ceased to really
tabbies
fear
kind
the
of top
Beast
tier.
by the time several weeks had passed, but felt there was no point in putting added temptation in the form
Yeah,
of
I did
Cuthbert.
notice
in any
that with
way.
Jeffrey the other day. So he's
A
got
few
like,
weeks after
the
Cuthbert's
black
arrival,
tabby
Beauty sat
stripes
chatting with the
that
Beast at
sort of
dinner.
go like down
As
the
usual, he
back
did
of his
not
head
eat
and
or
down his
drink,
back. But
sat
there's
watching
actually
her
a
with every
line on
appearance
his
of
head
pleasure.
where
He
like
asked about her day, and she
it
described
goes
some
from
of
green to
Cuthbert's
black, like kind of a
antics, at which he
perfect
chuckled.
line going
Actually,
across
a bone-chilling
between his
sound,
ears.
but she knew he
I only
meant
just
well.
noticed that the other day.
When the hour was up, he did not rise as usual. Instead, he bowed and brought out a velvet box from a fold in his cloak. A small token of my regard. But Beast, she protested, I have so much already.
Beast, I'm not
He
ready.
opened the box and
I'm
took
waiting
out
for
a
my dad to
long
bring back the
triple
lube.
strand of gleaming
We're gonna
pearls.
need a lot of lube.
To adorn your beauty, he said softly, and placed them around her throat. It says a great deal about Beauty's courage that she did not flinch from the touch of the great claws at her throat. But she held
Yeah,
quite
little.
still as he fumbled
You
with the
didn't
tab.
think that out very well, did you,
Then in a
Beast? It's
voice
like,
which
yeah, I want to
sounded
give some
terribly
jewelry,
sad,
but yeah, my
"You will
giant,
have to fasten
sausage
them
thumb claws just
yourself."
probably won't be able to fasten the
So
clasp.
sad was his voice that she laid her hand over his paw and said softly, Thank you, Beast. Beauty, will you marry me? She caught her breath in dismay, taking a step away from him. "No, beast, I cannot," she said, hoping he would not be enraged. But he merely bowed and told her good night in his usual way.
Yeah, now all the proportions here are weird.
When she retired to her
Yeah,
room,
weird
Cuthbert
proportions
came
going on
scolding
here
and
too.
complaining across the floor, telling her, as he always did, just how much he resented being shut in.
Yep,
Though
yep.
his furry face was very
That's
expressive, and he switched
okay.
his
They're
plumage
getting a
look,
lot of things
she did
wrong
not
with the
laugh
story.
as
They're at
she
least
usually
getting
did.
cat behavior correct.
Beauty could not forget the intensity in the beast's eyes when he had asked her to marry him. "And then, Cuthbert," she murmured to the cat, "he looked so very sad when I said no." As she slept with
Cat's probably
Cuthbert
doing
curled
well.
up on the foot of her
Cat does
bed,
look a bit chunky
she
there.
had a very vivid
He's
dream.
probably getting well
A
fed.
beautiful woman stood beside her.
Yeah,
and
is
she
it the
glimmered
same
in the
thing for the
darkness
cat?
as if she had a light
Like,
in her eyes.
mysterious servants like
"Evening,"
leaving
she
out food
called
for
in
him
a
and
sad, musical voice. "Do
in
not
his
be
letter.
afraid of
I don't know.
appearances. All is not as it seems. If you can believe in that
Yeah,
and
I'm
follow
just
your
thinking about
heart,
that.
you
Like, what
shall
did you
find
do
true
for
love."
cat litter with
Beauty
cats
sat up and tried to
when
speak,
you
but as she
back
did
in the day?
so,
Did you?
beautiful
I
woman
guess you just let
vanished.
them outside and they went wherever.
As she settled once more into sleep, she found herself walking in the gardens, but she was not alone. A young man walked with her, and she knew in an instant that he was her
I
true
guess you couldn't do
love.
that everywhere though.
It was
Like if
not
you're
his
in
fine
winter in the snow,
clothes,
you
though
don't
they
leave
were
your cat
rich
out in
beyond
that.
compare, or his handsome face, though she had never seen anyone so
Actually, no.
handsome
Like,
before.
yeah, you'd
That
have like
made it
farmers and
certain.
stables and
It was the look in his eyes
probably
as he
sawdust.
gazed at her,
I'd
and
say
never had
sawdust
she
would
known
work
such
pretty well as cat litter.
kindness, such generosity and tenderness. And as she looked, she knew that his eyes were also the saddest that she had ever seen. Her heart went out to him. Why so sad, she wanted to know. "I am a prisoner," he responded, "and only the most courageous love can set me free."
Okay,
"I
I'm
am
bored with
waiting
this
for
already.
you
I'm
to
kind of waiting
find
for
me, Beauty,"
Gaston to rock up
he
and cause some
said,
conflict.
and with that,
It's
he
probably why they
disappeared.
put him in the Disney movie.
In her dream, Beauty began to run down the garden paths, calling out for him to wait, to come back. Darkness began to fall, and she knew that she must not be out in the gardens at night. The beast had warned her never to leave the palace after dark. She cried bitterly as she was forced to go back to the palace without finding her
Okay,
handsome
that
lover,
is
who looked
definitely
so sad
cat
and taut
behavior.
with
He's like,
courage.
let me drink your
She
delicious
woke with
tears.
tears on her cheeks, and Cuthbert kneeling sadly in her ear. "Oh, Cuthbert," she wept, "he is a prisoner somewhere. How am I to find him?" But Cuthbert was unable to enlighten her. He did, however, lick her cheek with his rough little tongue, and with that she fell back asleep and did not dream again that night. Determined to find the imprisoned lover of her dreams, Beauty explored the palace every day that followed. But though she looked and searched from the cellars to the attics,
Oh
she
no,
never saw a sign of anyone
I
else
said
in the
before that
palace.
there might be a blur
One
tool
afternoon, when all other
being used on
passers
this
had become
artwork, but I'm
asleep,
thinking
Beauty wandered
it's...
into a room she
I
had never
reckon this
visited
might be
before.
like a
It
video
was the
file
size
that's
of a
been...
ballroom, and
Or maybe
all
the
around
picture
walls
itself's
were
been
great golden
compressed
doors.
in some way
Going
to
to
fit
the
on the
nearest
CD.
one, Beauty opened
It's
the
just,
doors,
yeah,
and
everything
was
here looks a little
astonished
bit
to find
blurry.
herself looking into a theater. There was an audience all around, and on the stage a lively play was unfolding. Just inside the door was an empty seat, and she stepped through the doorway and sat down to watch the play. Though she knew she could not go beyond the walls of the box, she felt she was really in the theater, for she could hear the people all about her laughing and applauding as they watched the actors speaking their parts. The time passed almost without noticing.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was
so
nearly
I
dinner
saw
time
some
when the
little
play ended.
pixelation. So yeah,
"Ah,"
I'm
Beauty
thinking
sighed, "I have never
maybe
enjoyed
this
a
is
play
like
more.
a
How wonderful
like a
to go to the
video
theater
file on a
whenever
loop,
one wishes."
and it's
That
changing
evening,
with each
she
page
told
or
the
something.
Beast
Yeah,
all
yeah,
about
because
the
there's
play,
definitely some,
quoting some of the
like some
amusing
of them
things the
are
actors
static,
had
but some
said,
of them
and
do have
making a
animation.
roar
So I'm
with
thinking
laughter.
that I'm thinking
He
it's
laughed
like a
so
video
loud
file of
that
some sort,
Cuthbert could hear the
and it's
roaring
just
and was
compressed.
frightened under the bed. Before he left, the Beast took out a little box and opened it. "To show you that I care,"
And he's
he
doing the
said,
same thing
and
again.
took out
He's
a
not going to
ruby
be able to
the
like
great
do up
glowing
the
red
necklace
stone carved
because
like
of
a
his giant
rose,
sausage
and the
fingers.
leaves made up of emeralds and diamonds. As before, he placed the pendant around her neck and asked her to
And
marry
this
him.
is bullshit as
"No,
well.
Beast,
Like
I
yeah.
cannot," she replied
He's
gently,
all of
wishing
your
he would
needs
not go
taken
on
care
asking
of. Will
her,
you
and
marry
so
me? And she's
bringing
like,
pain
no.
upon
And
himself.
my
But
response
he
would be,
accepted
well,
her
get the
refusal
fuck
with
out
a
of my
bow
house.
and left her. And that
Bring
night,
your dad
she
back at
again
least.
dreamed of the beautiful woman who
Yeah,
came
your dad
and
might be
stood
a
by
little
her
bit more
bedside
willing.
in a shimmer of light. Beauty, be brave and follow your heart. Do not be blinded by appearances.
Oh,
for
yeah,
they
yeah.
can
No, that was
deceive.
the actual
If
message
you
of the
listen
story.
to
It's
your
like,
heart,
don't,
you will find
literally
true
don't judge a
love.
book by its cover.
After the woman vanished into her dreams, the handsome young man appeared to her, and they walked in the gardens together.
No,
Again, he
I
sighed
think
and
we've
told
had this
her that he was a
conversation before, the
prisoner,
whole
and
thing
only
of, like,
she could free him.
you know,
But I
you've
have
got these
searched and searched,
magical,
and I cannot
fantastical
find
stories,
you,
and
Beauty cried out.
it's
And
always
the
hard to
handsome
work
young
out
man
what's
looked even
sentient and
sadder.
what's not sentient.
Search in your heart, and I am there, he replied.
Like, it's
And the
just
sky
like
grew
I'm
dark,
thinking
and he
if like a
disappeared,
book
leaving her
sentient.
alone and frightened.
It,
Running back to the
it's
palace,
and
Beauty
Belle
could
or
hear the
Beauty's
roaring
reading
of the
it like
beast in
it's
the distance, and she wept as
intentionally
she
showing
ran
her
for the young man who was
its
her true
insides.
love
Like,
and
yeah,
was
it's,
lost.
oh,
For several days,
it looks like
Beauty
she's got a
watched
new cat
enraptured
too.
as plays, ballets, and operas unfolded before her in the little theater. Other doors opened onto a variety of scenes.
Okay, your
One
needs
led to the
aren't
deck
just
of a
being
ship,
met; they're
and she
being
and
like
Cuthbert could
overmet.
sit
You've
and
got
feel
some
the
sort of
wind in their
like
faces and taste
magical
the
theater
salt
where
of
you
the
can watch
spray
like
as the ship
plays and
seemed to
operas and
sail
stuff, and
forever
they're
in a
just
warm
there.
sea.
Like,
Another showed her a
and
fair with
you still
people
don't want to
passing
put
to and
out.
fro,
Like,
examining the bright wares and
like
entertainment
I'll
spread
give
out
it
in
that.
colorful
That's,
booths.
you know,
Though she longed to be free to join
women
the
were,
happy crowd,
you know, a lot
Beauty
more
was very
protective
well
of their
entertained
virtues
as
back
she
in the
watched the
day.
amusing scenes and odd characters that passed before her.
The, these days,
So the days
yeah, there's
passed,
chicks will just
and
do
though
it for
she
a
was lonely
minimum
for
chips.
her father and even for her sisters, Beauty was really quite contented in her enchanted palace. She had Cuthbert to play with by day, and the Beast to talk to in the evening. Occasionally, the Beast would bring her a special present and ask her to marry him.
And yeah,
She always said no,
what she's
as
doing
she
is
was
coming
sorry
off
to hurt
as
him. Beauty
like
noticed that every
ungrateful as
time
well.
this
Like,
happened,
she
the
really
beautiful
seems to be
woman
dragging
and
this
the
stuff
handsome
out.
dream lover came to her in her dreams, promising that true love would be hers if only she could find it. But she knew she had
I
searched
mean,
everywhere in the palace,
it
and
sort of
he
can
was
go
not
the
to
other
be
way as
found.
well. I remember the joke
Gradually,
of like,
after many such dreams, she grew heartsick with a
what
longing
was
for
it?
her family, for her lover, for anyone human
Yeah,
and
like
real to talk
finds
to.
a fairy.
One evening, she
That's
was
like,
feeling especially sad, and so
no,
could
no.
not bring
I
herself
actually I
to
can't
laugh
remember the
or
joke.
sing or entertain the Beast as he had become her habit. Why so sad, Beauty? In truth, Beast, I am lonely for my family. I miss talking to my sisters and my father. I want
You
to
miss
see them
talking to your
again.
sisters? They sound like
The Beast
vapid
looked at her
bitches.
for a long time
Okay.
in silence. Then he drew out a little box and showed her the necklace he had brought her. It was set with
Yeah,
sapphires
it
and
didn't
diamonds
actually
in the
look like
shape
there
of
was a
flowers,
necklace in
with
there. It
emeralds
looked like
to
he was
form
just
the
offering
leaves.
her butter.
But Beauty took no pleasure in the sparkling flowers and leaves. I want to go home, Beast, if only for a little. I am tired of being alone here all day and all night, except for when you come and talk
Yeah,
to me.
what was the
There
Beast
is no one
always
else
up
here in
to
the
when he
palace, is
was
there?
away?
She waited for his answer.
I
for
I
she
can't
knew in
remember
her
what the
heart
deal with
that
it
he would
was
not
in
lie to
the story,
her.
but
No, there is no one
maybe
else
as a
here.
voyeur, he's got like little
Her heart
peepholes,
ached to hear
just
it,
watching her
for
all
she
day,
was
every
sure
day.
now that the dream lover was only a dream. He was not a prisoner in the palace, and she would never find him. Seeing the tears gathering in her great dark eyes, the Beast sprang up. Do not cry, Beauty. I cannot bear to see your tears, and I can refuse you nothing, even if it costs me my life. You shall go home. Oh, dear Beast, she
That'll
cried,
work, though.
throwing her arms about his great neck. Thank you with all my heart.
It's
Recalling
yeah,
herself,
remember.
she drew back, blushing and a little afraid. But you may stay for 1 month only, and if you do not come back when you promise, I will die because of it.
Yeah,
She
there's
promised
probably a
most
bit of that to
faithfully
the
to
story
return
as
at
well.
the end
Like
of a month,
if Beast was
and
up
the
front
Beast
about
sighed.
the whole curse
Then you
deal,
shall go.
she might have been a bit more
Here,
willing.
take this ring. He drew a golden ring from his pocket and slipped it on her hand. When you go to bed tonight, wish to be at home, and you will go there. When the month is over, do the same. Go to bed, wish to be here, and you will
Oh, maybe
return.
it's like a.
But do
I
not
can't
fail
remember
me,
if the Grimm
Beauty,
brothers
unless you wish
wrote
to
this
see
one.
me
Maybe
dead
we're
of a
getting
broken
like
heart.
the tragic
She
ending.
reassured
I'm
him
guessing
over
like
and over that she would not fail,
she's gonna lose
and
the
at
ring,
last he left her.
and then the month's up,
Rushing
and the
back
Beast
to
is
her
just gonna
room,
die
Beauty
or something.
danced around, packing clothes and jewels to take to her sisters,
And
books
look
and gold
at
for
how
her
badly
father,
drawn
and
this hand
talking
is,
to
though.
Cuthbert the whole time. she gathered him close, for she had no intention of leaving him alone in the beast's palace. Closing her eyes, she wished with all her heart to go home. When Beauty opened her eyes, she was in a different room. The sun was shining in through the windows, and Cuthbert was still cuddled in her arms, purring contentedly. When she had dressed, she went out into the hall of what she perceived
by the way?
to be
Is this
a
like
large
just
country
like a
house.
really narrow
And
washing
there
machine?
was her father, weeping with joy at the sight of her and demanding to know how she had come there. She told him all about her life in the palace, about her
still
horses
don't
and
get
her
that
cart
too.
and the
You
wonderful
lived in a
room with the
magic
magic
house.
doors. Bella and Belinda were
Okay.
glad enough to see her, having thought that she was dead, but they were even more glad at the sight of the silk gowns and the jewels she had brought them. The beast's gold had
Hang on. How does that work?
Nice clothes in plenty.
But did she
They
like
guessed it
leave
was
gifts
nothing
in
to
the bed
compare
with
the
her, and
riches
then
of
the bed
beast's
just
palace.
magically? Yeah, I
As the
don't know.
days passed, the sisters
Ugh.
grew jealous again, for they envied Beauty her
Yep,
beautiful
this is
palace and
definitely
all the
a Tinder
splendors it
profile.
contained. They looked at the ruby rose pendant and the sapphire necklace and the
I
pearls,
kind of wish I could
and
change
thought
the
that
text
nothing
in here
Beauty
to
had given them
like put
compared
all
with
the
these
bullshit
gifts
you
of
see
the
on
beast.
Tinder. Like, get
Belinda,
3
looking
kids
at the
pregnant with my
pendant, said,
4th. Need a
"Sister,
sugar
that
daddy to
ruby
pay the
will look
bills.
so much better
No
on me.
smokers or
Do
something
give
like
it to
that.
me, for surely the beast will give you another." Beauty was distressed and replied, "I would like to give you whatever you ask, sister, but though I will happily give you any of the other jewels, I cannot give you the things the beast gave me. It would surely hurt
Yeah,
him dearly."
nice of them to explain what a redhead
And then
is.
Bella said, "Sister, those sapphires and emeralds..."
Okay,
are
I'm sorry, I looked
dead.
over at the
So
time
do
and it's
stop being
literally taken
selfish
like
and give them
45
to me."
minutes to get this far.
But Beauty shook her head and replied, "Any of the other jewels you may have and welcome. But the pendant and the necklace and the pearls were special gifts, and I cannot part with them." The sisters were bitterly angry at what they thought was Beauty's selfishness, and they determined to get even if they could find a way. One afternoon the sisters sat talking, and Belinda's eyes fell on the gold ring on Beauty's finger. "That is a plain little ring," she remarked. "I wonder that you care to wear it when your other jewels
Yeah, that's
are so
crazy too. The
fine."
fact they can't. Like,
"That
the
is the ring I
easiest
will
thing
use
to
when I
draw
return
is
to
like
the beast's
a hand
palace,"
with all
she replied.
the fingers
"And that
and
must
thumb
be
open.
soon,
They
for
still
the month
couldn't
is
manage
almost
that.
over." Beauty's father cried out at that, insisting that Beauty must not return to that place ever again.
Yep.
Beauty explained
Pregnant
that the
with
beast
my
had made
4th
her
child.
promise to return
Live on
in a
my
month,
own.
or he
No
would die of a
smokers.
broken heart.
Me on the left.
Belinda and Bella
Yeah,
looked
this
at
is
each
all
other
just
and
like
nodded.
Tinder profile
If Beauty
pics.
could not return to the palace, then the beast would die, and Beauty would no longer live in such a splendid manner when they were forced to make do with so much less. And so they pleaded with Beauty to stay just a little longer, and they were so sweet and charming to her that Beauty's heart was beguiled, and she stayed, telling herself
Oh,
that
okay,
the
they
month
didn't
was
even
not
have to
quite
like
up,
steal the
and
ring.
she
They
need
just
not
conned her
return
into
just
staying
yet.
there longer than a
The
month.
days passed, and Beauty was
Okay,
happy with
so
her
the
father
story
and her
beats in this are
sisters,
kind of
and
reminding me of
somehow she
the
lost track of
substance
the
as well
exact
now.
number of days she had been at home.
Because that was the whole thing
Finally,
with
her
the
heart had begun to
transformation
mend
in
upon
that.
her, for
Like, you
she
had
feared
to
she had overstayed her time.
like switch
Her
back
father and
and
her
have a
sisters
week
pleaded and
is
begged
when
her
you're
to
young
stay
and a week when
just
you're
a
old.
little longer.
And if you
And
stayed
at
over
last
it'd
she
affect
agreed to
like
wait
the
until
body.
the next night, but her heart was heavy. "Sister," said Belinda, "do let me see that curious little ring you wear." Beauty was reluctant to take the ring off, but her sisters pressed her, and finally she agreed and gave it to them. "Pooh! A poor little nothing!" exclaimed Bella, taking it in her hand. "You do not want such a trinket as this," she said, and with that she ran off with the ring. In that instant, Beauty knew she had overstayed her visit, and the beast was dying. Beauty cried out at this, begging her sisters to
Okay,
give
so
back
the
the ring,
sisters are
saying,
the
"I must
antagonists
have
now.
it to go back to the
Not-
beast's palace. He is waiting for me, trusting me.
Maybe that's
Oh,
why the
please,
sister's so
sisters,
ugly.
give
It's
me
just
back my
Gaston in
ring."
disguise, in drag.
But though she begged
Okay.
and wept, they kept the ring away from her, and she knew that they would
And yeah,
never give it back.
she's not
At
even
last,
like
exhausted, she ran up the
really
stairs
doing
to her
anything
room and
about
threw
it. Like,
herself on her bed in a storm
you know,
of weeping.
someone takes something from you, you
Just when
punch
she
them in
had
the
given
face.
up
You
all
don't
hope,
go to your
she
bed
was
and have a little
startled
cry.
out of her tears by the sound of Bella screaming in pain and rage.
Oh, the cat. Yeah, Cuthbert's coming to save the
My
day.
hand is bleeding, howled Bella from the stairs.
You got some weird proportions
"Catch
going
him,
on
you
there,
fool!"
Cuthbert. Though.
screamed Belinda. "He's got the ring!" But they were too late. Cuthbert, having pounced on Bella as she sat gloating over the ring, had bitten and scratched her so suddenly that she had dropped the ring, and he had seized it and run for his life. "Cuthbert!" exclaimed Beauty as he
I
threw
love
himself
that
on
too.
his bed
Like,
and
yeah,
dropped the ring on
they
the
keep
pillow.
reusing
In an
this
instant,
picture
she
of
had
her
it on her
holding the
hand,
cat.
and picking up the cat, she wished with all her heart to be back in the Beast's palace. She found herself in her luxurious room, the fire burning brightly, her nightgown laid out as usual. She hurried to the dining parlor, but though there was food laid ready, there was no sign of the Beast.
Oh, so the magic
Running
of
through the
the...
palace,
she
she
might have
called
actually
for
done
him,
well out of
for
the
her
deal
heart
here.
was
Like,
filled with fear.
free magic house
There was
that provides
only
everything
silence.
for you, but
Cuthbert
the
chased
Beast is
along
also
behind
dead.
her, mewing piteously, and at last he ran to the great doors and scratched. Beauty looked at the doors and remembered the Beast's warning never to go outside the palace after dark. She remembered the terrible roaring she sometimes heard outside and shivered, but she knew that the Beast was not going to come to her that evening and that she had stayed at home for too long. Flinging open the great doors, she ran out into the night. Along every path, in every garden, she searched, calling for the
I was
Beast.
going nuts on that
He was
Casio
nowhere
keyboard
to
for the
be
background
found.
noise though.
At last she understood what the beautiful woman of her dreams had tried to tell her, but perhaps she understood it too late. Then she heard Cuthbert mewing from the lake. Running down the slope, she found the Beast
I don't
stretched
mind
on the
me, I'm just
ground
having
under
sleep
a
in the
willow.
grass. I'm
I'm
okay.
and whining sadly. "Beast!" she cried, throwing herself down beside him and gathering his great head into her lap. "Oh, dear Beast, speak to me." For a long while the Beast lay still as though dead. Tears fell down her cheeks onto the great face she had once thought so hideous. At last he opened his eyes and
The
saw
cat's
her.
there just looking up
His
all the
voice
time.
was weak
Delicious
as he
tears.
asked, "Why did you stay so long? Now I fear you have come back too late." "No, not too late, dear Beast," she begged, "when I have finally discovered how much I love you.
Yeah, it took me fucking ages. I'm sorry.
Will you marry me?" "Yes, my dear, and I will love you every day
Yep,
of
yep.
my life," she cried.
I think that's the only thing I don't
With
like
that, the
about
Beast
stories that
disappeared,
have like
and in his
magical
place
stuff
was
in
the
them, because the
handsome prince
writing
of her
always let's
dreams.
just pull a
The
Deus Ex
beautiful
Machina
woman
like
was
this
there
shit.
too, more queenly than ever, for she was, in fact, a fairy queen and the prince's mother.
Yeah, because
"You have saved my son," she said in her sweet,
Prince
silvery
was
voice.
like visiting her in
For
her
he has
dreams
been
as
under
well.
the
He could have just said,
enchantment of an evil
"Marry me and
wizard.
you'll
He
get this."
learned to live
Like,
as a
it
beast until a girl
see,
whose
this
inner
is
grace
what happens.
was
This
equal
is
to
why,
her outward beauty,
you know, conflict
who
and
would
misery
love
happens
him
in life. Just
spite
poor
his horrible
communication.
appearance. "Beauty,"
Just
said
say
the
what you
prince,
mean.
"you have set me free from a living
Don't be.
death because you recognize true love, though it wore the guise of a beast."
Ugh.
And so Beauty and the prince were married, and the great palace was no longer silent and empty.
Yeah,
They had
legit
a perfectly
took
splendid
like
wedding,
yeah.
and all the great and noble people of the
Even like
land came
the
to
higher quality
celebrate.
games with like
Cuthbert
stuff
had a
you could
diamond
click on
collar
and
for the
hotspots and all
occasion,
that
which he didn't
didn't
much
drag
care
on
for,
for as long as
and a
this.
number
This
of
is
chocolate
ridiculous.
knights, which he did. Beauty's father met a charming and comfortable woman of good nature and large fortune.
Yep,
And
yep.
so
Deus
he
Ex
was loved
Machina
and
again. He
cared
somehow
for the
found
rest
like
of his
hot
life.
wife in a short amount of time
I would like
that he
to
can
report
actually
that
tolerate.
Belinda and Bella rejoiced in their sister's good fortune. But alas, they grew more jealous and resentful than ever, feeling it unfair
Yeah, also
that
weird
so
that
much
these two
happiness
aren't
had
cat
come to their
ladies.
sister.
Like, yeah.
And because they only thought of
Not
themselves,
sure what the go is
their
there.
beauty faded, and they grew sharp and sour, and so disagreeable they couldn't even stand themselves.
That's what happens. Beauty
But
always
Beauty and
fades.
her prince filled their palace with love and laughter, and lived happily ever
And also,
after.
like, what was this magic fairy doing all the magic in the castle? Is that what was going on there? Just very confused at this whole thing. I mean, yeah, that's probably the only good thing I had going for it. The voice actor. Yeah, the voice was tolerable. And what's the movie
Once
entail
upon
though?
a time, in a faraway
Oh.
land, there lived a wealthy
Oh, we
merchant.
can actually look at.
This
Yeah, okay. No, we don't need to do that. Hang on. Get out of that. Yeah, okay. And what's puzzle entail? Just no. Okay. Yep. Just puzzle. That's all we get for games. Nothing that exciting. But well, that was terrible. I don't know why we spent so long on this game, but I don't know. I got a few chuckles there, but at least.
I'm watching Death Sandals video, by the way. That's who the person is. So if you want to watch a full playthrough, Death Sandals.